Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Yasser Ahmed. So we will continue with the advanced spreadsheet functions, and if you check out the previous videos, we've looked at extracting and concatenate, upper and lower functions, and VLOOKUPs with extract functions. So now what we're going to be doing is using if statements, and we're going to be using and or to check for multiple logical tests. Okay, so let's click on lesson 4. We have two sets of tasks. So the first one is going to be focusing on and then the second task is going to be focusing on using or. So let's have a look. What do we have here? So we have some names, okay, and we have some percentages from the English paper 1 and English paper 2. Okay, so let's come across to here. So let's read a comment. To achieve a pass, both grades have to be more than 50. So what we're going to do is one if statement equals, let me zoom in a little bit so you can all see. Okay, so one if statement that's going to check both of these exams are more than 50. And if they are, and in this case for Abdullah, he has achieved 50% in both of his exams, then he has passed. Okay, if they haven't passed, then they failed. So let's do this. So equals if. Before we start the logical test, I'm going to type in here and. So checks whether all arguments are true and returns true if all arguments are true. So we can have multiple conditions now. So the first logical test is check if this cell is more than, let me check something. You have to be more than 50. So if this cell is more than 50, comma. So the second test that we want to check is this paper is also more than 50. Okay, and we can keep going. We can add more if we had multiple papers, but that's it for now. So we want to check if this paper and this paper are both more than 50, and if they're both true, comma, then we have passed, or the students have passed. And if it's not true, comma, the false value will be fail, close the brackets. So we're using the and to check for two conditions here, and both of these conditions have to be true to output the true statement. And if it's not true, it's going to output the false statement. So let's press enter. Okay, and let's drag it down. Actually, before we drag it down, who do we expect to fail? So Ali should fail because one of these scores was less than 50. So it's not true anymore. And also Isa. And everyone else should have passed. Let me drag this down. Yeah, so that's right. So that's the first part done, okay? I'm not going to do this part for now. That's for another video or, yeah. Right, let's go ahead to this question here. We have 3 papers now, Maths Paper 1, Maths Paper 2, and Maths Paper 3. And let me zoom in. So to achieve a pass, all grades need to be greater than 50. So it's pretty much the same thing. So equals if. And what we want to do is check each of these papers are more than 50 for us to return a true value. So again, we can use the and. Whoops. Let me just type in here and. Double click to open up the bracket. So here's the first logical test. If this is more than 50, let's do it up here. More than 50, comma. Let me type that again. So equals if and just means we don't get that overlap. This cell is more than 50, comma, and also this cell is more than 50, comma, and also, let me see if I can click on it. This cell here, K5, is also more than 50. Close the bracket for the and. And if that's all true, then they have passed, okay? And if it's not true, if it's a false value, then they should have failed. Close the speech marks, close the brackets, and we can drag this down. So Abdullah in this instance has failed because one of his papers was not more than 50. These two were. Ahmed has also failed because his last paper was less than 50. So with the and, if one of the logical tests are not true, then we can't output the true statement. If just one is not true, then the false part of this formula is outputted. Okay, so the and, that was the and. Now let's look at or. The difference with the or, only one of these have to be true to output the true statement, not both with the and, just one. So let's have a look to see if they're going to be entered for the foundation paper or the higher paper. So if students have scored less than 35 in any of the exams, they will be entered for the foundation. So we're checking for one or the other condition. If students have achieved more than 35 in both exams, then they will be entered for the higher paper. So we're going to check to see if they're going to be entered for the foundation. And if that's not true, then a false will be higher. So equals if again, and do it up here. If I type in here or, checks whether any of the arguments are true and returns a true. So it doesn't have to be all of them. It can be just one argument. Let's double click. So less than 35. So we're going to check it. If this cell is less than 35, comma, or this cell is less than 35. So this is true because this one is, and it only has to be one cell with the or. It doesn't have to be all of them. Close the brackets. And if it's true, if students have scored less than 35 in any of the exams, they will be entered for the foundation exam. So we can open up the speech marks and type in foundation if it's true. And if it wasn't true, then higher. Close the bracket, press enter. So foundation. So who should be doing a higher paper? I think YAHMAD, okay, because both of his scores are more than 35. So let me drag this down. And also we had Fares, his scores are both more than 35, and then the last two as well. So the or is very different, is slightly different to the and checks if both conditions are true, then outputs a true statement. The or just checks if one of the conditions is true, and this one was true, this cell here, and then it outputs a true statement. Okay, so I'll quickly do this last example here, just to finish off. So we have biology, chemistry, and physics, 3 different subjects in science. We have some percentages. If students have scored less than 50 in any of the exams, they will be placed on intervention. If students have achieved more than 50 in all of the exams, then they will not. So no, be placed on intervention. So intervention. So less than 50. Okay. Equals if. So if just one exam is less than 50, then they would be placed on intervention. So or let's check if this is less than 50. Yeah. Comma. Let's check if this is less than 50. And let's also check if this is less than 50. Close the bracket, and if true, intervention. And if it's not true, we can say no. Close the speech mark, close the bracket, and then we can drag this down. So intervention, because he achieved less in biology, so this is less than 50. This was less than 50. These marks are all above 50. Okay, guys, so what we've been doing here is we've been looking at if statements using and or to check many logical tests, okay? With and, all of the tests have to be true to output a true value. With the or, if one of the tests is true, then you can output the true statement of the formula.